Congratulations, Esbily. Congratulations to you all. I think that the most pressing challenge in the humanities, in all the world's major cities at least, is to get a multicultural, multilingual polity to work democratically, with tolerance, with understanding, with equity and kindness. And you're all working on that in many, many different ways, or in many different aspects. And that's exactly what I came to Melbourne some 7 years ago to help you do that. And I'm learning so much from you today about what's been going on. However, I'm going to speak about one particular project here, a very specific topic, one very small part of that. And I'm representing a project that has a lot of people there. I think John Hadjic is up there. He's my boss. And he's the leader of the project. And Yu Hao is there you are. Great, okay. So it's a team effort, and I'm presenting on their behalf, but they don't know what's coming up. Okay. I want to make this a bit more general. A lot of the conversation at the tables, as well as up here, is about what we do with automation, by which I mean machine translation and AI, and how do we think about it. I think we use basic risk management, so I'm facing this problem as a problem of risk management, okay? And I'm going to help you think about that, I hope. I'm trying to be useful. If after this event you get lost and stroll across the river over there and finish up in the casino, not that you don't drink alcohol before you do it, and you're given a bet, here's how you can think about it. I want you to decide now how you're going to bet. One option says, you're going to place repeated bets, $100 each time, okay? You've got a 90% chance of winning $1,000. Sounds good, eh? Or a 10% chance of 100,000. Who goes for the first one, 90% chance to win 1,000? You're all translators. Who goes? I'm not joking. Who goes for a 10% chance to win 100,000? Costados. You're all managers of companies. Okay, it's not an official survey, but I do find, okay, it's from Kahneman, prospect theory, it's basic psychology. Costa wins, of course. It's not a trick question. Some people are risk averse, and translators tend to be risk averse, especially with respect to automation. Okay? The first thing they'll see out there is the problem in the text. Oh, look, it's wrong there, I can do better there. If you run a company, though, you look at automation in terms of multiple bets. If you're placing 100 bets, the second option will win, always, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? If you're doing the odds on extensive repeat performance, you look at the quality of machine translation, the blur scores and media scores, etc., and you can calculate the risks. This is why companies are using automation, and this is why companies in Australia, translation companies, are reported as having profits increasing by 20% a year. I'm not going to ask you if it's true, but you've done pretty well. Okay. Whereas translators are universally, and interpreters especially, and by which I mean public service interpreting, community interpreting, are all complaining, well said, about bad pay. Or as my colleague at the table put it,
oh no.
That wasn't you, you're anonymous.
We all know that here.
Another person at another table said, I've paid my dues, I did my years as a translator, and why are you not a translator now? Shit pay, shit work. Well, and we have numbers on this. I'm crunching the numbers at the moment. There are serious structural problems in the employment of translators, especially community interpreters in this country. The companies, though, are doing it quite well. Why? Because the translators take the first bet, and the companies take the second. Okay? We just didn't look at machine translations to spot the errors. We tested them on users. And this is the trick. You've got to get empirical data on what the actual effects of automation are in the reception process. If you bring in a human translator, they will also always spot one or two things that could be done better, and then say, don't do it, ever. Okay? But if you get readers using it in different languages, you find that there are points at which they're quite able to understand what's going on, and if it's not full understanding, they can make it actionable. So we tested understandability for translations from English into Chinese, Greek, Spanish, and Dari. Okay? The trick is that in Chinese, English, and Spanish, the resources are large, and automation works pretty well. Dari, the resources are small, forget about it. Okay, you're going to have human intervention there. And we've got this long tail of languages in Australia. What we're saying about automation with respect to the big languages with rich resources does not apply to the rest. And that's the first takeaway for this. We're back. But have we got the competition? Yes, okay. So that was our research. It's based on human reception, looking at understandability and actionability. Actionability means that given this text, how would you act? And I'm going to give you a text there. While I was going to explain it while you're reading that, read it in the language closest to your heart, as Nelson Mandela might have put it. And then you're going to have a question, okay? Just read it fast as you would, because the bushfire is approaching. This is from the too late to leave message, which is sent out regularly. We took it from the Vic emergency site. It means the fire is coming to where you are. You don't have time to leave. This is how you're going to survive it. You have to understand this text very quickly, folks. More important, that text had to get to you very quickly. So you know what we're doing? We're not comparing machine translation. This is Google. For a reason I'll explain in a minute. This is Google not being compared with a human translation, because I'm sorry folks, that takes too long, the fire's gone through, is compared with no translation at all. Okay, and this is why it's worth looking at automation, because there are situations of urgency when we do not have time to do these elaborate quality control messages that are absolutely laudable. Now, you all read the text, I hope? Good? Here we go. I do this in class, folks. Where should you position your car toward the fire? For, your life depends on it. A, when you are as low as possible in the car, who votes for that one? Someone did. You're dead. Sorry, not yet. B, when the fire is around the car, who votes for that one? Somebody. You're voting. Like mediators are part of the act. Come on. C, when you've reached a cleared area. Oh, you're safe. You made it, but you're wrong. D, when your car is on fire. Nobody. Oh, you're thinking about it. Which text did you read? The English. What? Okay. B, when the fire is around the car. You're all dead. Look at it. The English says, if you're caught in fire, if you caught fire in your car, yeah. What it's trying to say is, if you're in your car and fire is around it, because that's the only way the following information makes any sense, right? But it was badly written. And that's the main point. It was mentioned this morning. If you write the text clearly, we'll have a chance of knowing what to do, not only with the English, but with the translations. because the translations take the most probable interpretation of that set of words, which is, if your car is on fire, which is what people voted for.
Yeah.
Right? But that's not it. If that's the case, look, if your car's on fire, what are you going to do? Get down low in the car? Come on, folks, think about it. Okay. All right. Now, this was the most serious problem in this particular text. All right, and it was serious not because machine translation is bad, but because the original writing is bad.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. There was also a problem in the Chinese with position the vehicle. Chinese doesn't have a verb for to position. Therefore, it said you should park your car close to the fire.
Next to the fire.
You know, we find that most of the real readers learn to distrust the text, but trust the intention. Okay, that there is a capacity to bracket out the noise in the machine translation and to construe the situation successfully. Unfortunately, as some people get it wrong and will not survive the fire, and I'm sorry about that. We did not recommend that machine translation, raw machine translation, be used for emergency texts, even in situations of great urgency. Why? Because some people did get it wrong. I don't want to be cited by the government of Victoria as the reason why some people died in a fire. I'm sorry. All right. Now, this is the actual report which has come out. Please find it. You're welcome to read it. Above all, read the recommendations. I'm going straight to the recommendations, okay? It's based on the degree of pressure because it's the urgency that is the factor here. As I said, it's not human against machine, it's machine translation against nothing at all. All right? But we will modify that human factor. So, if there's some pressure, but not great pressure, what are you going to do? Take some time and identify which languages are involved in this emergency in that area. You've got great census data in Australia that enables you to do it. We're doing, I have 2 doctoral students comparing the Melbourne response to COVID with the response in Brussels. Brussels doesn't have any language data. They're lost, they're flying blind. Here you've got a huge wealth of data. Don't complain too much, please. In that situation, preparing used controlled writing to work on templates. And in this situation, there are templates, as was mentioned. That's a great solution, that's being done, but it could be done across the board for all your emergency messaging, all right? Use machine translation, and then what we experimented with is not just plain English, has been said, this controlled writing, controlled authorship, but pre-editing. Pre-editing means identifying what the cause of the problems are in machine translation and rewriting the text to get rid of the problem before it occurs, if you see what I mean. So Yu Hao and I sat down with the English text, she looked at the Chinese, I looked at the Spanish, I made a change, does that work in Chinese? She made a change, does that work in Spanish? And we got to a set of changes that were necessary. Then we generated principles from them for pre-editing. And then we tested the results on the Greek and the Dani. And in most cases, they did have knock-on effects. That means if you do the pre-editing correctly, get a good, clean English text that removes, you know what it is? It's not plain language, it's Australian-specific terms that were the problem, okay? Then you've got a chance of it working for a lot of the other languages, even having a good effect on the small tail languages, the minor resource languages. For example, for you and me, the expression U-turn, make a U-turn, is as clear as day, right? Not in Spanish, not in Chinese. We know what a yabby is, right? Good luck with that in other languages, all right? But then more general things like 2-word verbs. Okay, phrasal verbs, if you like, look up, etc. Anytime a 2-word verb comes up, machine translation has a good chance of screwing up. Don't use them, use one word. Any long sentence with dependency clauses, it'll screw up. Don't use them. Okay, but that's also part of plain English. So when you go to the report, you'll see a list of basic principles about pre-editing, as a kind of simple English, as a kind of writing. And I think that's our main contribution, actually. So you've got time to prepare, employ professionals. I'm not saying NATI certified, but I should, because that's what the companies are doing. They put it on their publicity, certified, okay? Not just to translate the templates, but also create, while they're doing it, translation memories and glossaries that can be used in the machine translation to override the general solutions, okay? Generate assets, resources, while you're doing the human translation, because that'll come in used later on. Some urgency, yes, produce machine translations, but on the basis of pre-editing with the translation memories and with the glossaries. Don't be stupid and just plug in Google. You can do your professionals. You can do a lot more than that, all right? Then, post-edit, and you need qualified people to do the post-editing, and you can check it in the community if there is time, but we're talking about some urgency after all, and then you can revise the machine translations in generative AI. I'm interested here in both technologies, and they are different. Very briefly, machine translation will give you a version based on a database of what previous translators have done. It's all human. Don't talk about human against the machine. That database is human, and that's what's coming up. All right? So, going into Spanish, Chinese, and Greek, we have two second persons, as many of you know, the formal and the informal. English just has one, because we lost one of them. Now, machine translation will have both forms in the database. So the texts come out mixed. It'll go in Spanish, tú, usted. And as one of our respondents said, this is upsetting, this is cognitive dissonance, this takes, it's a Spanish teacher, that's the only thing they focus on. The second person is wrong, okay? And they said that's distracting from the message. The actual readers who were not Spanish teachers had no trouble with it, but still, okay, trust, building trust, it's not nice. Put that text through AI, indicate who the receiver is, formal or informal, clean text. Okay, you can use both technologies very quickly to get a better result. Don't think AI is taking us downhill or better than MT. They both have their virtues. Being pointed out, for writing plain English, AI is great. Okay, summarizing, really good. Don't throw it in the bin. Okay. And then when it's full on, when it's urgency, yes, we do say you can use machine translations if and when all the above. Geez, I've got it. If and when you've done all the other things. Okay? There is a place for automation in the workflow. Even especially in the urgency workflow, when the normal quality control measures cannot be carried out because there's not enough time. Last resort, use machine translations. Okay. Now, I tried to plot that. That came out pretty badly. But I think we're working out on a system of trade-offs, all right? One axis is speed, and that's the key variable here in the example I'm looking at. And the other axis is actionability, which after all is what counts. How well people did on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Did they get the right option? When we did the later ones, we included a don't know option, which was the most telling. That people were not going to get killed, they would sit and try to figure it out a bit longer. Anyway, gee, that did come out badly. People think the opposition is between raw machine translation, which gives you high speed, and low actionability, okay, on the far right. And the other one is unaided professional. This is your human translator, unaided by automation, which gives you low speed, but great actionability. And that's the opposition people are thinking about. But if you went through what I just said, you'll see that on that x-axis, there are lots of trade-off points where you can have pre-edited empty, as I mentioned, getting you a bit better, then post-edited, then pre- and post-edited together, and then empty with AI and all the rest, and discussion. And I'll just mention the discussion point. which is the most contentious, and we spent a long time on the report trying to make it clear what we're talking about. We noticed, because we used the fire emergency text and others, one of them was that the system in Australia has a system of contact people who, in the case of a fire emergency, will phone on and pass on the message orally, very quickly, in spoken language. And we suggested that the same thing should be in place for the language communities. And I was told, speaking with people this morning, that that is actually done in part, that we do have people who know languages and can relay the message. Now, this was confused by some readers as being a recommendation that we let the community do all the translations themselves, as has been an interpretation of previous research that John Hedrick and I did, where we found community-based mediation was working very successfully in COVID. To which the translation community legitimately retorts, well, who trained these people? Where did they get their authority? How do we know that they can do a quality translation? No, we're not suggesting that community contact people, that discussion thing there, replaces the human translator. We're suggesting that it can add explanations to a text that has been produced by the previous points. Yeah. Now, this is important because the question is, will automation take work away from translators? And Costa said this morning, no. Did you say never? Nobody, never say never. Never say never. I'm less confident. I think that a lot of sentence level replacement activities will be done by AI, and is being done quite successfully now in many, many aspects. There are errors, but hey, humans make errors as well. You know, I correct translation exams, after all. You know? But what you can see there is a whole lot of work for professionals. In the pre-editing, in the post-editing, in the production of the assets, the glossaries and translation memories, in using the AI system and knowing when to use it, and then in coordinating all that project. There is a lot of work there for trained professionals, working with the technology and not against it. And my job as a trainer is to start training people in that, in order to think about technology in a very proactive, progressive way in which we all benefit from it. Thank you very much for your attention.